little feet in the background.
Yeah, we can get to know your music taste during the interview.
Right.
Okay, so we've started it up again. Okay, first one. Who was your best friend when you were a kid, and what did you like to do together?
Oh man, do we really want to know what they like to do together?
Alvin Bramstead.
Alvin?
Alvin Bramstead, yes.
What did you like to do together?
We did everything together. We were best buds, and
How old were you?
probably from the time I was 7 or 8, probably until I turned into a jerk. So probably till 10 or 11, 12, somewhere in there.
What was... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well,
You had other best friends though too later on. Who were
yeah. Well, Alvin was, his dad was the president of KENI, Channel 2.
Is that in Anchorage?
Mm-hmm. And Alvin he'd had polio, actually.
Oh.
But he had a pretty mild case of it.
There's a deer out there.
Oh.
Charlie, it's okay, buddy.
We have you being a dog dad recorded.
You know, it was a pretty mild case of it. He's a real good guy, but then as I got older, I turned into a little bit more of a... Al was pretty normal and, pretty straight and pretty focused on school and all that sort of thing. And I got unfocused, and so I found different friends. But he was my best friend until then.
But you got unfocused because you started working, right?
No, I got unfocused because I started hanging out with a bunch of idiots.
Oh.
But anyway, he was a great guy. He's now the president of Channel 2 TV and a big communications company in Alaska, and on the board of all kinds of things. I Google him every once in a while just to see what he's doing.
Did you see him at the reunion?
I did not see him at the reunion,
Huh.
oddly enough.
But he's up there.
Yeah,
Huh, weird.
yeah. So,
He's busy with his boards.
apparently.
What was your favorite food growing up?
Whoa.
Like, was there anything that your mom made that you loved?
Let's see here. Corned beef and cabbage.
Okay.
I love that. She made
Still do.
really good corned beef and cabbage, yeah.
Can we go back to the best friends though? Because I don't think Grace knows about like Mark Lee and Phil
Oh, yeah,
Gaines
that was-
and all those guys.
You talk about growing up, that was my first best friend. And then I got involved with, Mark Lee and a bunch of the people in my neighborhood, and who else?
Phil Gaines.
Bruce Schwartz and Phil Gaines. Phil Gaines was another interesting one. His dad was the poet laureate of Alaska.
The poet
Laureate, yeah. And he lived right across the street from me when we lived in that crappy duplex.
On Arctic.
Yep. No, this was when we first moved up there. In that-
So before me. This is
way before,
okay.
yeah, way before you. Yeah, when we first moved up there, we moved in right across from Phil Gaines and Reuben Gaines, who was the... I think I put that in my
Okay.
deal about how he would recreate baseball games on the radio.
Oh yeah, you mentioned. I've heard that story before.
Yeah, and he had these sound effect things.
But he'd get like the ticker tape, or what would he be reading to recreate the games?
That I think that's what he used, because we didn't have live TV up there, so, and we didn't have live radio, so he would either listen to the radio or he had to have been the radio.
Like maybe it was like a ticker
It
tape.
could have been a ticker tape, but he
Where
had
he-
all these sound effects, and he hit these two sticks together and crack. Oh, it's a single allowed. But anyway, he was the poet laureate. He did that. He was just really famous, and Phil was one of my best friends growing up too. And he lived right across the street from
And he's a
us.
pastor now, right?
He quit doing that.
Oh,
He got divorced.
That's an interesting story.
Yeah, he came by. He's a professor at the University of Montana. I think. I don't know.
was he the one that was UW for a while? Who was the one that was at UW for a while?
I don't think he was
Oh,
in
okay.
UW.
Okay.
Could have been. But anyway.
Are you talking about Grandpa's friend that's in admissions at UW?
Uh-huh.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Remember the guy who you said
Father
was in...
Phil.
I
Remember Father Phil?
That's Phil Gaines.
No,
That's a different Phil?
that's a different.
Oh,
Phil. Yeah.
okay. I was
Father
conflating
Phil
it.
is a guy that I met when I was playing basketball with Marv.
Oh,
and those
okay, okay.
guys.
Yeah, I remember. I used
He
to
was
post
the
up against those
pastor
guys.
at the Catholic church.
St. Charles, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
where Marv went. And now he's the admissions director at UW, as far as I know. He might be something different now.
Yeah.
was Mark Lee the one who would do the fart machine?
Now it's Phil.
No, that. Okay.
The human fart machine, HFM.
He would just lay on his back and
Lift his legs.
just fart
you
over and
can
over.
rip it. Whoa.
He could just suck air in and fart it back out and do that. Or...
I guess I've had some interesting friends over the years.
Some weird talent.
I know.
Glad we got that one recorded.
And Phil's absolutely brilliant. He's an incredibly smart guy.
And this is the one who's at
Montana State.
Yeah. Oh, that's Phil Gaines. Okay.
Father Phil's at UW.
And what's Father Phil's last name?
Ballinger.
Ballinger. Okay.
All right. Did you have a favorite toy when you were a kid?
Wow.
She's going way back, huh?
I found him online and I thought it was kind of
Was
interesting.
it your GTO or something?
When I was growing up,
Yeah. I mean, unless you liked toys as a teenager.
no, I don't remember having a favorite toy.
What's the first favorite toy you remember? Was it your car? Mm-hmm. And is it GTO or a GTX? I don't know the difference, but
The first one was a Sunbeam Alpine Harrington Le Mans.
I have no idea what any of those four words mean.
My dad had a car. I went to work at SNF Foodland, and I needed a car.
And that was your first job, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I needed a car to get to work, and so he had one on his lot, and it was a Sunbeam Alpine Harrington Le Mans. They're really rare, but they're really rare now, but they were pretty rare then. So he said, "Well, take this, and you can use it to go to work." So I was driving it to work, and then one day I went out after work or during work, I guess it was. I saw somebody backed into it.
Oh.
And so it wasn't even drivable. So I told my dad, and he said, "Oh Jesus," you know. So I asked our janitor Percy, who was a big black guy, who was about that wide, a face that was that big. I said, "Percy, did you see anybody hit my car?" He went, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what'd she look like?" She was young and white and pretty. Okay. Anything better than that? No. So we never found out who hit it. And the car was totaled. Couldn't get any
Wow.
parts for it. So that's when I
It was
got.
that bad?
Oh yeah, she creamed it. So that's when I got my Camaro. But I had to buy that. And that was my first car of my own. That was cool. I don't know how I got to there from what question.
What's your
you asked.
favorite toy?
My favorite toy was my '67 Camaro. Red.
It's on the record. Tell me about the house and neighborhood where you grew up.
I grew up in Turnagain. That was probably upper middle class. And interestingly enough, we went by the house when we were up there, didn't we, Dar?
Yes.
I remember this place being a very nice, big house. It was not a very big house. It is okay, but it's not certainly upper crust anymore. It was probably
Lower middle class.
No,
Yeah.
do you remember the address?
1101. No, let's see. What is-
Just in case next time we're up there, we'd go look.
Yeah. It might be in this memoir.
I think it is in there.
Okay.
He tended to put addresses and specifics like that, so we can look.
I have it on my phone.
My old house.
Picture. We took a picture.
Oh, that's right, we did.
And that's where you and Lil and Grandpa lived
Judy.
together? That was when you first moved up there?
When we first moved up there, we lived in this
Oh, the duplex. we were
crap
talking
old
about.
duplex. Yeah, it was miserable. But we didn't know any better. It seemed pretty nice to us.
Oh, cool. She has a picture of it.
Yeah, cool. Looks like a Hamblin rancher.
Yeah, it was a nice house. Had a basement and
Recorded.
three bedrooms up. Had a nice big yard in the back.
A lot of kids in the neighborhood.
Iliamna. It was on Iliamna.
Okay. A lot of kids in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I met a lot of neat people there.
One of my favorite stories that you ever told me about yourself as a kid was how you couldn't lie. Is that what you were talking about?
I couldn't bring myself to do it. I just no.
But your mom would like yell, "Jim, what are you doing?" And you,
I might tell her.
do you have a
Stop
story
doing
about that?
that, honey. Oh, that happens so much. I don't really have a specific story about it. But if I was playing in the dirt, or if I was picking my nose, or if I was whatever I was doing, I told her I was doing, and she said, "Don't do that."
Now, did you put in your memoir that you're writing about the time that your mom caught you smoking and drinking and sat you down?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I did.
Okay. Do you remember?
I haven't
doing
gotten to that part.
that? Okay.
Pretty sure I did.
It might be fun to watch his face because one of the questions coming up is a big mistake that you made. What did you learn from a really big mistake? So that could be that one. Or any other mistakes. You can out your own dirty laundry here.
Yeah, all the way up
Well,
to
I
the
got
present.
caught smoking. I think I might have put this in there too. I got caught smoking when I was in high school. Then my Spanish teacher, who I really adored, I had a grudging admiration for her because she's a good teacher. She's an ugly little gnome woman, she Senora Wilson.
Does that mean she's small?
She was very small.
Is that what you mean by gnome
and
woman?
elfin?
She was elfin, yeah. And she wasn't good looking. She was not even really attractive. But I got to really like her. But she caught me smoking one day, and she goes, "Okay, Wodardo," she says, "I'm not going to turn you in," because back then that was grounds for
Expulsion?
well, it wasn't expulsion; it was suspension, I guess. But I want a note from your father. It says you told him that I caught you smoking.
Oh.
I went home. I thought, well, should I just forge a note?
How old were you?
I was junior, maybe sophomore.
Okay.
Sophomore, I think. Because I had her all 3 years. I took 3 years of Spanish. And I thought, she's smart enough, she'd bust me.
And then
I
it'd be
went-
worse.
Yeah, so I went to my dad, and both my folks smoked, so it was, maybe I'll get off. Well, I got in big trouble. I don't want any notes from the school, blah, 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 blah. So I need this note so I don't get kicked out of school. So they gave me a note. So, Jim told me that he's been smoking. I told him no. I've grounded him, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I go in there. He put it in. He said, "I want you changing this." So he, put it in an envelope and
Sealed it.
Sealed it. He gave it to me, and the next day I walked in. I gave it to Senora Wilson, and I said, "Okay, here it is." So she looked at me, and she took the letter, and she went, rip, rip. She ripped it to shreds right
didn't
in
open
front
it.
of me, and never opened it. I'm sitting there going, "Oh shit, are you kidding me? I could have pulled this one off." And then she said, "Go ahead and have a seat. Thank you for that."
Oh, man.
God. So anyway, I was in deep shit at home, and Senora Wilson got a big laugh out of me, at my expense. So
Sounds like effective punishment.
it was very effective, very effective. I admired her a lot because I still remember a lot of Spanish because I had her, I think, for 3 years. And she was an ugly, short, little cranky woman who just, I don't know, I just got to liking her. And she kind of got to liking me too, even though I was kind of a shithead. But, she was one of my favorite teachers ultimately.
Any other big mistakes you want to fess up to? That you learned something from? Or not, I guess.
Well, at that time I got caught with beer by the cops. I think I put that in my chronology, but
I haven't gotten hold of Nicole yet, so.
I got, and that was not something that
I told her.
I didn't do all the time. It was just something I got caught at that particular
Right.
night. So
Doesn't have to be as a teen.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably accepted my dad's offer to get that GTX. I should have been sophisticated enough to understand what he was doing.
What was he doing?
Well, this was after shit hit the fan when I went to Arizona State.
Oh, okay. So you were 18, 19?
17,
Oh, okay.
either 17 or 18. And before I went down there, my mom had gone to Nebraska and that whole thing where Dad brought Marcy home and, you know,
Judy ran away.
Judy ran away and it just shit hit the fan. But anyway, so he tells me, you know, you need to get a nice car to go to Arizona. You know, after things cooled off a little bit, he said, why don't you, you know, I can get a good deal at Fifth Avenue Chrysler and get you a brand new GTX. I had that Camaro and it was all paid off. Oh, boy, that GTX would be nice. So, okay, I'll do that. I thought everything was cool, and so I got the GTX and drove it down to Phoenix, and I was at ASU. It was my first year, and I was just having so much fun, just smoking dope and taking drugs, and you know, driving my car and listening to music and going to concerts. And then I find out that Dad is still with Marcy. Judy's run away. There's shit's hitting the fan. My mom finds out that it's going on because she's overhearing a conversation I'm having with Wayne because Dad had sent her there to calm me down because Patty was pregnant.
So she came down before she knew that Marcy was still in the picture.
Well, no. Supposedly all that was over. Well,
No, I'm gonna say that.
I'm trying to figure out how this chronology went.
So why did she go down?
Why did
your mom go down to stay with you?
Well, my mom was in Nebraska visiting her relatives
Oh, so she just swung by to see you.
because Dad said I was upset because Patty was pregnant.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Dad is up in Anchorage screwing Marcy.
So he's just trying to keep Lil out of
Exactly.
Alaska. Okay.
So Wayne's there, and Wayne tells me that Dad is bringing Marcy into the house.
Wayne's in Alaska.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
living in the house.
Oh,
He was
okay.
living with us. Wayne and Jim were both living with us. And so Judy's there and I'm not there, and Judy gets pissed off at him and she runs away. So then my mom hears that Judy's run away, things are rough, and Dad tells her, you know, Jim's upset because Patty's pregnant. You know, you need to go by and see him. Well,
I didn't know that part.
yeah. So she flies from Nebraska to Phoenix, and she's there with me and Phil Gaines, who was living with me, my roommate. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? This is weird. So then, how did it work? She overheard. She picked up we had two phones in our apartment. And what the hell happened? I guess it was Phil that got the call. And it was Wayne. And Wayne said, you got to get up here. Judy's run away. You know, Marcy's basically moved in. You know, you need to tell Jim.
And meanwhile, Lil's
Mom's on the phone listening.
Oh no.
It's like a sitcom.
So
It is.
she blows a gasket. She heads for Anchorage. And I come back and go, hey, what's happening? Let's do some drugs. And that didn't work out so well. So then I just said, you know, and then Patty was pregnant. And so I said, well, I can't stay down here. I mean, I gotta go find my sister. I gotta help my mom. You know, I just gotta get back up there. So I dropped out of school and headed back up, and my mom tried to kill herself while I was there.
My mom did?
My mom.
Oh, your mom.
And it was a feeble attempt. But
So it was a cry for help.
yeah.
But you were in the same room, right? And she
Yeah,
slit
she's
her
in the
wrist in
kitchen.
front of you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so she went to Eastern State Hospital, and I was trying to find
Down
Judy.
here?
Or not Eastern.
But the hospital up there.
What was the name of that? I can't remember.
A psychiatric hospital
Yeah,
in
it was a
Alaska, though.
psychiatric. Yeah. So she went there. Wayne and I were trying to find Judy. My dad promised me he was going to dump Marcy, which he didn't. You know, so that's what I came home to. We eventually found Judy, but she didn't come home, and my mom eventually came home, but my dad had moved out, and he was living with Marcy, and there was some confrontation between Marcy and my mom, dad, and mom, and Grandpa Lee was pretty sick of me because I knocked up.
You were the
his
Harry
daughter.
Fairy, right?
I was the Harry Fairy.
So anyway, how did this relate to the GTX?
GTX, yeah.
Oh, well, my dad had talked me after the first blowout with Marcy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you know, you need a nicer car, blah 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 blah. I was like, okay. So he's trying to suck me into, you know, forgiving him for screwing around with Marcy.
Oh, okay.
So he talks me into this GTX. I buy the GTX. I trade in my Camaro, fully paid. I start making payments on the GTX. He goes back with Marcy. The shit hits the fan. They get separated. They start divorcing. Then there's no longer an insurance, family insurance policy. So I have no insurance on the car anymore. So I get notified by Chrysler that I either have to get insurance or I have to turn the car in.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't get insurance because I was 18 years old, and you know, insurance on that car had 400 horsepower. You know,
Yeah.
I was not going to get insurance on it, so I had to turn the car. I had no car, so I lost my Camaro that I was fully paid, and I lost my GTX. That's how that all came about.
So that's why it was a big mistake.
Well, that was a huge mistake. I should never have got sucked in. But you know, you don't figure your dad's going to do something like that to you. You know, just talking to do something that ends up screwing you like that.
Do you think he knew it was going to?
I don't think he intended to dump Marcy. But I don't think he thought of the consequences of him not dumping Marcy either.
So any other mistakes you want to fess up to in adulthood? Not that there's pressure, but just...
Well, let's see. Yeah, I've done stuff I don't feel real good about. I mean, there's things that I did with your dad that I don't feel real good about. You know, I've overreacted on him a time or two in my life. And if I had it to do again, I wouldn't do it again.
What do you mean overacted?
Overreacted.
Overreacted, oh, sorry.
Yes. To some things that he did in his childhood that were just teenage things. Not when he was a kid. He was a delightful kid, and we got along great and everything, I thought. But then when he started getting older, I started, I was single and I was not probably the parent of the year. And there was a time or two I did things that I don't, looking back on, that I shouldn't have done. I slapped him one time.
You told him to punch someone. I know that one. That's a good story.
Well,
He doesn't feel bad about that one.
he was just no, I don't feel bad about that. He was just a little kid. And I
Punch
didn't
the
tell
bully.
him to punch the kid. I just told him to tell him to stop. You
Or
tell that
you-
kid to
or I'll
stop,
punch you.
or I'm going to punch you. And the kid didn't stop, so he punched him. Just like it was planned out.
That's funny.
Yeah. But as a teenager, he was a bit of a rounder, and I didn't deal with it very well because I was a single dad. And because
You were a bit of a rounder yourself at that point.
I was. Yeah. Those are not some of my better years.
Okay, this is one of the last ones as a kid. So, what were your grandparents like, or your memories of your grandparents?
You know what? I don't remember ever spending any time with my mom's parents
Okay.
because they were in Nebraska and they were farmers, and I don't remember. I have pictures of them coming to Oakland when I was there when I was a little kid, at least my grandma. But
Do you mean like actual pictures or like
actual
memory
pictures,
Okay.
yeah. But I don't remember them at all spending any time with them. My dad's mom was Grandma Grace,
Right.
and she was wonderful. I mean, but it was long distance, and we saw each other fairly frequently. But I really adored her. She was wonderful.
Where did she live?
San Leandro, California.
Oh, okay. What were some of your favorite memories with her?
Wow, she was a huge Giants fan. She made me a Giants fan. So
Oh.
I got all kinds of Willie Mays stuff. I got autographed baseballs, and I got she knew I loved baseball. She'd send me baseball books, and she'd come up, and we'd just have a great time. And we'd go down there, and we have a great time. Went to Giants game down there, and their old park. And, she had fruit trees, and she'd send us fruit. She was wonderful. I love Grandma Grace. She's married to a guy named Kenneth Schmidt, who was her second husband, and he was a jerk. My dad hated him, so I don't have much of a memory of him.
Yeah.
But she was wonderful.
How old were you when they were married?
It's not my trip.
Like a kid, or was that more
Oh,
as
yeah.
you as an adult?
Very young.
Oh, okay.
Very young.
But they divorced, or were they together your whole?
They were together till he died, and then she died.
Okay. Okay. What are some of your favorite books that you've read? I know it's a hard one because you read a lot, but
Wow.
There's one right there, just a can of
One of the more recent ones I've read that I really loved was Devil in the Grove.
okay.
Yeah, this will work.
That was a Paul Wasson book.
Oh,
Which one was?
Devil in the Grove. God, I love that book.
It's Thurgood Marshall, right?
Yep.
Any other books that you've loved?
He loves
Other
a True
worth
Believer.
Yeah, Eric Hoffer.
Okay.
Great book.
Charm School by Nelson Monroe.
Yes, that's
Charm School.
Mm-hmm. By Nelson DeMille.
Do you remember books that like changed the way you saw the world, or like when you were in law school or when you were in college, that you said, "Oh wow, this is something I never even thought of."
But I have to think about that for a while.
Okay.
But I'm sure there were. They're not coming to mind right now.
Yeah. One of my other favorite stories that you told me was when you were a volunteer firefighter.
A volunteer.
Or a firefighter? Didn't you do that?
Yeah, I was a. But I
Okay, well,
wasn't a
not volunteer.
No, I was a professional firefighter.
You were a smoke jumper, is that what they call them?
No,
Oh.
smoke jumpers jump out of planes. I never did
Oh,
that.
okay.
No, but I was a firefighter. Yeah,
And you lied about your age
Yep.
with Wayne's
Mhm.
information, right?
Yeah, I used this draft card to get the job because I worked all the way through high school at the grocery store. I was planning on working there all of that summer to, make enough money to pay my way to college. And I showed up to work one day, and the IRS had closed the door because the owner hadn't paid taxes. So, and Wayne worked for the same company, and it closed his store too. So, we both went down to the unemployment office, and there was a call for all these firefighters. So we got in line, and he was behind me, and I was coming up, and they said, you had to show you were 18. And Jesus, I'm only 17. And I said, well, let's try. We'll figure it out. So we got up there, and as I don't know how this happened, but I was the last one. We were only going to take 10 more, and so I was the 10th guy. So Wayne was behind me. I said, "What are you getting from me?" He said, "No, go ahead." He says, I'll give you my draft card." Because the driver's license had pictures on it. I looked nothing like him. So he gives me the draft card, and I give it a shot. Sure enough, they took it. So I was the one that got the job.
Lucky you.
Lucky me.
And you were in some sketchy situations when you were a firefighter too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird being 17 and being around a bunch of. There was people that were from the gospel mission that were working there, and there were guys that were back from Vietnam working there, and there were college kids working there, and I'm a high school senior. It was pretty weird.
So you thought the people were sketchier than the fire?
Oh, it got a little dicey, yeah. I think one of the really weird things was that we got flown in by helicopter every day. And one day, I'm sitting in the helicopter and I see there's this warning light flashing. I'm going, "Oh shit, what's that?"
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, what's that?" No, it's nothing. I'm going, "Holy crap!" So I'm worried and I'm sweating it. And finally, they land, and I'm thinking, "Oh, thank God!" So we get out. Oh God, what do we do now? Well, the helicopter came back. It was a different one, so I didn't have to worry about it. Next morning, I got in the same helicopter I got in the morning before.
Yeah.
There was a hole in the panel where the warning light had been.
Oh my God.
So there's just wires sticking out. I'm going, but we got there fine and we got back fine. So, wasn't a big deal.
So still you're saying you're not even talking about the fire being sketchy. It was the equipment and the people
The
and
fire wasn't, we didn't ever get in danger of anything. But it was weird. It was weird being a kid,
yeah.
doing that because my squad boss was a lazy SOB who didn't even bring a tool with him, and he'd just lay around and boss us. But when somebody higher than him would come by, he would come take my tool because he knew I was 17,
Oh.
and he knew that I was not going to say anything.
So he made you look like you weren't working.
Yeah, he was a dick. So anyway, I didn't last. I don't remember how I ended up. I think the fire got put out and it wasn't very long. And then I came back in, and then I got off. I got sent to
You had the stress today. I had the stress last night.
I got sent off to another fire,
And I opened the mail at like 9 o'clock last night, so I can't even do it.
and then that was it. So it was 2 firefighter jobs.
How long did you do it total?
Oh, probably only a month and a half, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I just did it the summer before I was going to go to college. But I
Okay.
needed the money.
And then you came back and you went after the ASU drama. You went to University of Alaska, right? With your dad.
Yes, that was interesting.
Yeah, because you guys would debate in class. You said, right?
Yes. Yeah, we used to. Well, there was a whole lot of stuff water under the bridge at that point because, Nye's married to Marcy. They're divorced. He's lost everything. He had to file bankruptcy. I lost my car. My mom tried to kill herself. I mean, it was a mess. And Patty was pregnant, so I ended up marrying Patty, and my dad ended up marrying Marcy. My mom ended up being very bitter, rightfully so, and so it was just kind of weird. And I just kind of went through the motions, just decided, you know, I wanted to do bad. I wanted to go to college, so I decided to go to college, and so I started. I did a lot of different jobs. Jesus, I can't even probably count how many jobs. Because I got in the laborers and hod carrier shooting. I was doing that during summer.
The labors and what care?
Hod carriers.
What's that? A hod carrier.
When you put up brick, you got the mortar, and what I would do is mix mortar, and I'd put it in a hod. They're V things, and you put the hod in there, and you throw it on your shoulder, and you dump it into the buckets for the bricklayers, or you mix it up in a wheelbarrow, and you haul it to them and dump it
Sounds
out.
like a hard job.
It was a miserable job. And then also you stock bricks, or you're hauling brick around in wheelbarrows and by hand, and going up, you know, ladders, and yeah, it was hard work. And then I had that job where I worked at the airport. I was working as a ramp attendant.
At the airport?
Yes. And that was one that, I don't know if you read about that in my little deal, but it was one of my favorite, well, my least favorite jobs was emptying the shitters out of the planes. And the way you do that is you would drive this honey wagon.
Honey wagon.
That's what they called it. Drive the honey wagon under the plane, and then you would climb up on top, and there would be this big hose with a big flange like this, and you'd stand up on top of the truck, and you take this flange and you put it up to the flange was up here, and it was a ring. It just set the ring, and then there was 4 little handles that you pulled, and then all the poop would come out of the plane into this hose and into your truck. The problem was in Anchorage, it got really cold, and around this flange would ice up.
So it wouldn't be a seal?
No. So you'd hook it, and you think it was hooked, and you pull the levers, and it would just fall off. And then there's just poop and toilet paper and blue water, and so you're trying to shut it down. And,
Like on you?
oh yeah, I'm standing right under it, on top of this truck.
Oh,
You know, it's-
so gross.
you finally get that. That happened twice to me. And after the second time, I quit. I'd had enough.
As I think most people would.
What a
And
shitty job.
I moved furniture for Airvan Lines, which was a miserable job. I had a lot of really shitty jobs. This was while I was married. We were living over. What the hell was the name of that street?
Wasn't Arctic?
No, it was one before that. Remember, right across the driveway from that.
You told me about it, but Arctic is the first place I remember.
You'll remember it when you see it. Let me grab it here. I'll show you some pictures of it. You'll remember it then. Because you were best buddies with all these people lived in this halfway house.
Oh, yeah.
Across the alley. They loved you.
I've always gravitated toward freaks. Rob, Eric Muller, Mike Skillingstad. Yeah.
Your dad is like that too. One of the most different, unique kind of sets of friends that anybody I know.
Sometimes I'll say to Karen, do I have any normal friends?
What do you think Grandpa's weirdest friend was?
You know, I don't know, weird-wise, eccentric, I would probably pick Fred Palladino.
Yeah, I would agree with
He's
that.
one of those
Rear
people
Admiral?
that would do anything for you. I could call him at 4 o'clock in the morning and he would do anything.
Well, it's hard to know if I remember it from the
Never
photographs
felt
that I've
safe
seen
with him if
before.
Jim wasn't with me.
Or-
He kind of was one of
This
those
was
people
that halfway house.
Okay.
And this was our driveway.
Yeah.
I'm having an Elizabeth Loftus moment. I'm not sure if I remember it or if I remember
If it's
the
being
photographs.
implanted.
Yeah.
He came over to
what was it like when my dad was born?
Does this to me.
Well, it was pretty weird,
Wow, you're this from the baby.
actually, because
Stop it. You weirdo.
Grandpa Lee, who I adored before, and who adored me before, and who adored me long after, he was really pissed at me.
On the day he was born?
Well, it was, are you going to marry my daughter? You asshole, you long-haired asshole. And he just really got angry at me, and he wanted me to marry her, and then I decided I was going to, and then he kind of calmed down. But we'd lost the relationship that we had, which was, I was umpiring for the little league that he was the commissioner of, and I was working with Matt and Mike and helping them, playing catch with him, and I was always doing stuff with him. And that happened, and he got mad, and so we were kind of on the outs for a short period of time. But then once we got married, everything just cooled down,
And you got married on your birthday in 71, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm not sure I know when you and my mom met.
Met in high school.
I know, but when?
Oh, she was a junior and I was a senior.
Okay.
So not that long before Doug was conceived.
Nope.
Not that long.
Doesn't sound like it.
I was thinking maybe they'd been together a couple of years. I didn't.
No.
How did you meet her for the first time?
I honestly don't know. I remember seeing her in the hallway and thinking she was pretty hot. And Patty said, my cousin Patty said, "Nah, don't woo her."
Should have listened.
Why?
Well, I wouldn't have you if I had listened, for crying out loud.
I'm sure glad he didn't listen.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Why did she tell you to stay away from her?
You have to ask her that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know? Or you
I
don't
really
wanna
don't.
say?
She just didn't like her.
She thought she was a bitch.
Yeah, she did. And I don't know why that, yeah, she thought that, but I don't know why. But
anyway, the day my dad was born, what do you remember? Do you have any memories of it?
yeah, I do. I was there, and
Were you in the room?
yeah,
That wasn't very common back then, though, was it?
no,
Are you sure you were in the room? Because I thought you said that when you were in for Grace, that was the first time.
That's what I've heard too.
Because you might be putting those two together.
that could be.
Because I don't think that was very common
Yeah,
back
I
in
think
70.
you're right because I wasn't married to her. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't go in the room.
Because you weren't married?
I wasn't married, and I don't think Lee and Judy wanted me in there anyway.
Right.
But Judy wasn't so mad at me, but Lee was just really irate.
Was Lee in the room?
I don't know if he was even in the room.
I don't think.
That would
I
surprise
don't think
me.
anybody
I
was,
was
in
at
the
the
room back in
hospital. But
Even Judy, you don't think?
I don't think so. I don't think that was a
What did they
thing.
do with them?
It was just doctors and the patient. That was it.
yeah, I don't
Okay, but anyway, sorry. What do you remember about the day?
I remember, I was really ambivalent because I thought, hey,
Maybe wait a second, because I don't know if they'll be able to hear you.
okay,
They, as in future generations.
yes, we want to make sure future generations can hear me.
Can hear how ambivalent he was about me.
I wasn't ambivalent at all. I was pretty excited, actually.
So that begs the question, what were you going to do?
I was ambivalent about because I really wanted to have.
Wait. We gotta wait. We can't hear anything. There's ice, too. I know we're all dying to know.
Well, I really wanted to be involved with Eric, but I didn't want to be involved with Patty.
Therein lies the ambivalence.
That was the rub, because I don't want to even go into that because that's not something for posterity, to be honest with you.
Okay, so you're ambivalent about this lifelong relationship with Patty.
But I was not ambivalent about Eric.
What do you remember
I was excited
about...
about him? And I wasn't excited about her.
Okay. Did you know that he was a boy at that point?
You mean after he was born or before he was born?
Before he was born. I'm glad we have that on camera, because that's very indicative of Grandpa.
I didn't know.
Before, they didn't do those kind of tests, genetic tests either.
I just knew.
Oh,
Oh,
I
okay.
was told about Patty, and so I just knew.
that's curious to me. Yeah. They didn't do those kind of ultrasound things or whatever. Back in the
I
day.
don't think he gets the point of this.
Well, Patty was pretty sure it was a boy, and so that's what she told me, and so that's what I believed.
Okay, you just
Turned out she
trusted
was
her.
right.
Mom, do you mind grabbing him some?
Mixer or whatever for his.
Sure.
Oh, never mind. He's going out there. We'll pause. Okay.
Can you pause?
No.